5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Get Your Shine Box. This is episode 2. I got Joe with me, Central New Jersey. I got Paul behind the Iron Curtain, and myself from the Central Florida Free State coming at you with episode 2.
That would be Dr. Gloom and Doom.
Good evening. Good evening. Looks around furtively.
Paul, do you have anything to say to our listeners?
Other than that, by the way, I was just heckled a few short minutes ago for my illegal and unusual parking methodology.
Heckled.
A Karen?
I think it was a couple of kids. It sounded like kids' voices. They drove by, and I didn't know what the hell they were yelling at. But then, you know how something like catches up to your brain after you hear something? They said something about parking. So then I look at my parking, and I'm approximately perfectly diagonal in the parking spot.
But you're with the between the lines, though.
Well, not really. My rear tires are on one line. My left front tire is on a different line, and I'm kind of angled. I'm sort of taking up 3 parking spots, I guess.
So you are in the mobile unit.
I am in the mobile unit,
Okay.
yes. I just got done doing my mobile radio thingamajig.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear. You can't, in that part of Jersey, it's difficult to sit still for too long.
Well,
and sometimes you have to go incognito with the Biden stickers on the back.
I want them to know where to find me, so I'm out here in public. I don't want them. I don't want them kicking my door down. You want to make a run? You know where I am.
They're coming for you.
They're coming for everybody. What are you talking about?
So what's new in the news today?
Well, you know what? I don't know if it's that new and it's not that popular. Well, I shouldn't say it's not that popular. It isn't for me. It's disgusting. But Uvalde, the whole Texas thing. This is it's disgusting. It's more disgusting. Well, I put it this way. I don't know if it's more disgusting that the kids were shot, or it's more disgusting that the Dems jumped on this as a political expedient experience. Excuse my
And why
alliteration.
and why are there always questions that come up? You know, why didn't the cops do this? Why were parents arrested? Why were, how come somebody had to go in against orders to take the guy out? I mean, there's questions upon questions about procedures and what happened that just don't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. And I'm going to do a quick. Well, I don't know if it's going to be quick, but this is from the Texas Tribune.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Texas Tribune, and I have some good news for you. They updated the Uvalde story with the gun legislation. However, here's the good news, and I quote, "Most importantly, our plan saves lives while also protecting the constitutional rights of law-abiding Americans," the news release stated.
Who quoted that? What was that? Who quoted? What was that from?
This is a statement put out by the 20 10 it's a coalition of 10 Democrat and 10 Republican senators.
Gotcha.
Who released this statement.
Wow. Bipartisanship?
Yes, it is so beautiful. I think I'm tearing up. This is a beautiful thing, the bipartisan way that they're fucking us all over.
We might want to take a moment of silence for that one. But
you notice how I paused before I dropped the F-bomb there, just in case you want to
Want to make
fix
this,
that in
trying to keep
post.
this rated PG, maybe PG-13 with the bumper music. But
Anyway,
if anybody knows where that bumper music came from and emails me, you're going to win a prize. An original VHS, slightly used.
there's another one that it sounded like there is a Formula One video from the 70s showing, I forget the name of it, showing how all these Formula One drivers used to get wasted.
Oh yeah,
It had like Jackie
Stewart,
Jackie Stewart with his long sideburns,
Right,
and and James
James
Hunt.
Hunt.
Yeah, and it had that kind of music in it.
Yeah. And the
I mean,
mustaches. Everybody had a mustache. Yeah.
the mustache, right, and they were all like, Playboy bunnies on each arm, drinking, smoking.
That's when Hugh was still alive. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
back when men were men.
yeah,
The good old days.
he brought silk pajama robes back into style. But anyway, so, and I'm gonna run through these a little bit here. If you have any changes that on the newest one, just jump in. But I'm just gonna run over because this is the whole timeline's a little bit a little wacky. But anyway, here we go. This is September 2021. Shooter asks sister to buy a gun. I'm not going to elaborate. It just he wasn't quite 18, and she refused because she probably knew he was a whack job, like anybody.
Well, listen, I was asking for guns when I was, 15, 16 years old too, so maybe not exactly, but maybe, it kind of adds up at the end, but.
Well, yeah, in this case for sure. But back then we weren't asking for AR anything, though.
No,
410 shotgun, 12 gauge bird gun, those types of things.
Yeah. High-powered rifle.
March 1 to 3, 22, a gunman sends message on Instagram about guns. Word on the street, you're buying a gun. Those types of things. Just bought one right now. So that was on the 27th. March 14th, gunman makes another Instagram post. 10 more days. Okay. As far as we know, these weren't necessarily direct messages. These were public messages. Are you going to shoot up a school or something? The shooter replies, no, stop asking dumb questions and you'll see. Okay. Investigators didn't specify what the post consisted of.
I'll just point out that this kid who supposedly worked part-time at a Wendy's or something.
Yeah, Wendy's window, yeah.
Bought a $2,000 Daniel Defense Gucci rifle.
Yeah.
Apparently some expensive optics. I think he had some kind of body armor too.
He did.
He had a nice truck.
Supposedly his grandmother's.
Yeah, supposedly.
So unfortunately, even by the news, we have to speculate somewhat because you don't know how accurate some of this stuff is. The shooter turns 18 in the same time frame, legal to buy a rifle. He legally purchases 2 AR platform rifles. I know, like you said, one was a Daniel Defense, which is the $2,000 gun. He bought it from an FFL, Federal Firearms License, for those of you in Rio Lindo. He also purchased about 375 rounds of 5.56.
What was the second rifle?
It was also an AR, but I don't have any information on what type it was.
So he's got 2 ARs and what? How many rounds of ammunition?
So far at the 375 at that particular point. On the day of the shooting, but see this has to be a little off because the final police report I thought said something closer to 1,500 rounds, but that might have been a total count. Because they also had a handgun. The day of the shooting, shooter sends Facebook message to a girl in Germany that he met online. Well, that's typical. Gunman shoots his grandma in the face and then calls.
Can I interrupt?
Sure. Yep.
Now, just being speculative here, but the FBI has before used women online to talk to these disturbed individuals and try to get them to do a terrorism. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. No, I
We know
definitely
this.
get
This
that.
is public documents. They've done it with Muslims after 9/11. That one famous guy who, kept saying, no, I don't want to do this. He did a couple of feds who said they were women, um, encouraged him online. Now, doing this, OCONUS, as they say, outside continental United
Right.
States, relieves them of any sort of legal jeopardy. So we can't dismiss that possibility that whoever was in Germany somehow was trying to radicalize this disturbed kid.
No, I wouldn't doubt it. And women are the best at it because they have, generally have pretty much control of the situation.
Yeah,
especially an 18-year-old kid
Yeah.
right.
With obviously a low IQ.
and a
So
lot of testosterone.
yeah, that's for sure. So at this point, he steals his grandmother's vehicle, which was that pickup truck, and drives 2 miles to the school. 11:28, shooter arrives at school. For some strange reason, I don't know why this happened, but the shooter crashed his vehicle into a ditch. He was probably accelerated speed. Fires his gun at two male witnesses who began approaching the crash from a nearby funeral home. The witnesses flee and call 911. That was at 11:28, approximately 11:30. Teacher calls 911. A teacher at the elementary school makes a 911 call reporting the crash. At that time, the shooter walks towards the school, climbs the fence into the parking lot, and shoots at the school several times. So basically, this timeline where we're redoing this because it's been done a bunch of times. It, it, if you have to visualize what's going on here, this guy is there wasn't anything covert or surreptitious about it. 11:31, shooter walks through the school parking lot. I'm going to say it again as the headline reads. Shooter walks through the school parking lot, reaches the last row of vehicles in the parking lot, firing his rifle throughout. So he's got, I forget what the reported amount of mags are. I'm going to guess, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he had the 30 rounders stacked. So he's just shooting indiscriminately, and he doesn't have any fear of losing any ammunition.
And I'll also throw in, at this point, the school should be fully locked down.
Correct.
Should have been locked down before automatically. Was there a toxicology report? Was he on anything? Do we know?
I don't even know you're ever going to know that. But no, not that I know of.
Well, if we can just go on past correlation, he was probably on some sort of SSRI or mood altering
the typical drug of the day for the kids. High spirited kids, we have to give them something. A school district police officer speeds in the direction of the person they think is the gunman, reported by the teacher, but drives past the gunman and heads back to the school, mistaking a teacher for the shooter. So this is a school district police officer. Obviously, not that familiar with the participants here. At 11:33, shooter enters the school. He enters through a back door. He shoots at least 100 rounds. Okay, so I'm gonna pause for a second. He shoots at least 100 rounds inside classroom 111 and 112, which are connected. So
that's 3.5. That's 3.5 magazines.
Thank you. That's what I was getting at. This guy. Let me finish this part of the story. Authorities originally said the teacher left the door propped open, but later said a teacher closed the door and the automatic lock failed. Okay, so that's an entirely another issue on top of everything. If your security doesn't work, you don't have security. But back to what you were saying, Joe. He changed mags 4 times, right?
Yeah,
assuming these were 30 rounders. If they were 20 rounders, he changed mags 5 times.
Right.
If my elementary math serves me.
Yeah, just to put my tinfoil hat on here for a moment.
Go ahead.
The teacher originally saying that the door was propped open, and then later, it was after consultation with the school board attorneys, changed her story.
Which do you think is worse, though? The fact that it didn't work, or she propped it open?
Well, my point is, she left the door open.
Yeah.
She propped it open,
yeah.
and did not close it. That is my guess. Now, it is possible that whatever lockdown locks they had didn't work. But
Well, it was probably a panic door, where you have to hit the rail to close. They automatically lock when you close them. So I don't think that. I think that you are correct. It was wedged open and it was never closed. It was probably lawyers told them to say that. You're probably correct there.
yeah, that would be my guess.
And also, I don't blame her for blocking the door open. It was probably hot. She needed air circulation.
Right.
When there's not like school shootings every single day, especially in that area, there's no problem. So
Whoa, 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 whoa,
they're not
whoa, 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 whoa.
well, they're not expecting. You're not expecting it. You get complicit. People get complicit, and they're not, you don't expect it, so you do things a little out of the norm.
Well,
I'm not saying that's the right thing to do,
here,
but I get it.
Here's something a little out of the norm. They supposedly had over 40 lockdown events already this year at this school.
At this school.
At
that particular school.
Yeah.
And they just did an exercise the day before this shooting occurred.
But were those locked downs? Were they false alarms?
I'm assuming so.
Okay, there you go. I mean, it's the boy that cried wolf syndrome. False alarms. You don't. You kind of like
could be
tongue in cheek it. So your security is down. I get that.
Yeah, that could be. And like you said, it's 100 degrees out, last day of school or whatever. They're graduating. They're tired of sweating to death, and they want to get a little air. But you hear gunshots. Why aren't you closing the doors?
Well, maybe when you hear gunshots and you realize what's happening, you panic and you don't even remember the door's unlocked.
Maybe.
I mean, could you? I could only imagine. You don't know what's going on in their heads at that point.
At 11:35, the police enter the school. 3 officers rushed to the same door as the gunman used to enter, which was closed. They entered and received grazing wounds from the gunman. They retreated. Okay. Pete Arendando, the chief of the school district police department, also arrives at the scene at this time. He does not have his radio, so he's not in communication with anybody at this time, and he's the chief.
Yeah.
He said when he went in, he wanted both hands available. So he kept his handheld back. I'm not really sure what the budget is for the police department, but I mean, I know small municipalities that have better comms than this. So.
Well, I'll tell you, the figure that I heard is that 40% of this town's operating budget went towards their police department.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if that's school budget and the school police. And how many schools have police departments, by the way?
Yeah, well, they're calling it the school district's police department. So it's the PD within the district that the same school. It's the same district that the school is in. That's the way I'm reading it. At this point, 4 more officers, including a deputy with the Uvalde County Sheriff's Office, also entered the school around the same time. 11:37. That's 35. 37. Gunman fires 16 more rounds, and this is somewhat speculation because they're obviously counting the shells at the location. At 43, Robb Elementary and Uvalde police post on Facebook. The students and staff are safe in the building. The building is secure in a lockdown status. Apparently, that's their SOP. Sadly, but I guess that's how you get word out on Facebook. Okay, which is run by a lizard, but that's an entirely different episode. Okay. At the same time, Uvalde Police Department posts on Facebook, large police presence at Robb Elementary. We ask the public to avoid the area. At 44, police officers are inside. Let me just jump down here. Initial officers are there and receive gunfire. Therefore, they do not make entry. Officers call everyone in the area for additional resources, tactical teams, equipment, specialty equipment, body armor, precision rifle, and negotiators. They're evacuating students and teachers during this time. Interesting. At 48, officer's wife is shot. Uvalde CISD police officer Ruben Ruiz can be heard telling other officers as he arrives inside the school that his wife, Eva, has been shot, according to the transcripts of body cam. 11:51, more police arrive. 11:54, onlookers start filming. Oh boy. 21 minutes after the shooter enters the school, an onlooker streams a live video showing parents begging police to enter the school. What a country. At 12:03, police continue to arrive and students call 911 from inside. A student calls 911 from room 112 for a minute and 23 seconds, identifies herself in a whisper. Meanwhile, as many as 19 officers are positioned in the school's hallway. That was at 03. At 12:10, students call back. The student calls 911 again and says multiple people are dead, although that was probably a supposition. 12:13, the student calls 911 a third time. Authorities have not expanded on her comments during this call. Apparently, we didn't get the tape. 12:15, Border Patrol tactical unit arrives. 12:16, student calls 911 again, saying 8 or 9 students are alive. 17, school announces active shooter on campus. Onlookers and parents beg for action. At some point during the standoff, onlookers beg police to charge the school, according to the Associated Press. Parents try to break windows and are not allowed to immediately be reunited with their children, which is pretty hard to keep them from. At 12:19, another student calls 911 from class 111 and hangs up when another student tells her to. 12:21, gunman fires again. The gunman fires again. Authorities say that he was believed to be at the classroom's door. On a 911 call from the student, 3 gunshots could be heard. At 12:46, Arredondo gives an approval letter to enter the classroom. If you all are ready to go do it, you do it, he says, according to a transcript of the body cam. 12:47, please send the police now. That's a message from another student that called 911. 12:36, the same student calls back for 21 seconds and is told to stay on the line quietly. At 12:43, the gunman shoots the door. And this is relayed in the 911 call. At 46, I can hear the police next door. 12:47, please send the police now. This is another student calling 911. 12:50, Border Patrol kills gunman. At 51, the students are moved out of the room. And then at 1:06, the police announce shooter is in custody. That is the timeline, the most recent timeline I could find from the Tribune, from the Texas Tribune, which is fairly neutral, or in this case.
One shooter, over 20 cops in the building, and they can't take this guy?
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions there. Now, I'm assuming, they have magnetic locks or something of that nature on the classrooms if they have proper security or whatever. Still, a ram a ram or something, you got to go in. Not only that, but this waiting and waiting and waiting. Ever since Columbine, there was a complete rewriting of how we respond to shooters. The rule is, at most, the first cop on the scene, at most, he'll wait like a minute or two for backup. Other than that, you go in. That is universal in these training things for response.
Absolutely, because every second that you wait, somebody else dies. But let me just ask you a question. The border cop that actually took him down, how did he get in?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I've heard different stories that it was, a border cop, BORTAC guy was getting a haircut and he grabbed a shotgun from the barber and broke in. But I don't know if he just got in and got his kid, or if he was involved with taking the shooter down, or if it was a larger team that got in and took down the kid.
I believe that his kid was already out when he went in.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. But the thing is that if the door to the classroom was locked, how did he get in? How did he get in the classroom?
Good
Probably
question.
it probably wasn't locked. It's probably an open door.
Well, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff we're not going to figure out. I also understood that the cadence of the shots that were fired were not sustained, not rapid. They were slow and methodical.
Yeah.
Which I mean, there's a point to be made, and actually, Ted Nugent made this point on one of the shows because he was talking about the laws that that inevitably were going to be attempted to be passed. How all this that goes, and he said if you could have a single shot 410 shotgun at the same cadence, if you had enough ammo and done the same damage or more, which is pretty close to being accurate. He's pretty bright when it comes to firearms. But his point was going after the evil AR, it wasn't going to solve anything. This guy was deranged and he was going to kill people.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they turned this into a political let's take the guns is sick because it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't change anything. We need to change people.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to do something about it, we need to change people. Not the laws that they're changing. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that these are not going to do anything. Nothing's going to change.
No, this is not a gun problem.
No.
No.
Anybody on the right knows up until like the 60s, kids used to bring their freaking rifles to school in the back of their truck or whatever.
60s? Are you kidding me? When I was in high school, and I'm 60 years old, so when I was in high school, I used to bring a 22 to the school because I was part of in the rifle club at school. Anthony, right? Okay, he was. What year was he in high school? I don't know. You know what year he was in high school? Doesn't matter. It's like the same time Daniel was in high school. Anthony used to bring his shotgun to school with him, and the kids at school in Pennsylvania during hunting season used to bring their guns to school, leave them in the back of their pickup truck. So this isn't even not that long ago.
Well, let me just say we've had guns in this country since we kicked the British out, but we haven't had this mass murders like this since then.
Right. And that the point being, as Joe said, it's not a gun problem. It's a people problem.
Yep.
And we've removed God from society, Christianity,
and that's a vacuum. Yeah.
And we've destroyed the family. We've destroyed male role models, and the chickens are coming home to roost. This is all a result of these things that have been done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you throw in, the pharmaceutical juggernaut.
That whole chemical thing is crazy. I can't even list. I mean, we can do a whole segment on what they're giving kids. If they were giving that crap out when I was in school, I'd be on everything.
That's right. We did it old school. We got illegal drugs.
Yeah.
I didn't do drugs.
Apparently, it didn't do anything to our
except
brains.
Joe. He was a good boy.
Okay.
I was a good boy.
Joe was a good boy. His mama said so.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Bullshit.
All right. I'm going to play a little 36-second clip here from your man Matt, the movie star. He stepped in, and he came off. I got to say, like Paul, you called BS. He came off a little, little neutral. He had the mentality and the Uvalde thing and the hunting thing and the second amendment thing. But I'm just going to.
He said all the things that a politician wannabe would say.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
This moment is different. We are in a window of opportunity right now that we have not been in before. A window where it seems like real change can happen.
Why is it all of a sudden a window of opportunity that we haven't had before? What's the opportunity?
Well, the opportunity is never let a crisis go to waste. That's what the opportunity is.
Scumbag.
Yeah. The opportunity is that Congress passed age restrictions, magazine size restrictions, and then what they're going to end up doing is passing this stuff down to the states. I'm not going to read the whole article, but it's a touchy feel good thing, and the compromise isn't. Thank God it was a compromise in the Senate, but as far as the Congress, they were just going to go all out, but it's never gonna pass muster because they know most of the stuff is on its face unconstitutional. But you like you guys were saying before, nobody wants to discuss how to fix this stuff.
And here's what they've come to realize, that they can nudge the states to do things. They're already doing it through all the agencies. That's why they wouldn't go ahead and make this a federal law, but they're going to do just like they're doing with the transgender thing. If or is it CRT? If you don't teach LGBTQ and CRT, we're taking away your fucking school lunch money.
Right.
That's what they're going to do with this. It'll be carrot and stick. You do what we want, we'll give you extra money. You don't, we'll delete your bank account.
And then conversely, the states, especially Florida, decided to turn around and doing the opposite. If you want to celebrate these things, then you're going to pay the price as well. If you want to get involved with politics in your business, you're going to pay the price for that too. So, there is again, it's going to come down to states, just like this abortion is going to come down to state. When the Supreme Court makes that decision, it's going to come down to states, as it should. But the 10th Amendment gets dangled like every other convenient carrot and stick. So, but people are going to ask why we were taking so long. The chief, he insisted. Isn't this the guy that didn't want to cooperate for a while?
Supposedly he did stop cooperating, but I mean, cooperating with what? The DOJ already put out a pronouncement that this is not a criminal investigation.
Yeah. There you go. That's you have every time you hear something on the news, you have to question it. But he said the article said waiting for protective gear contradicts active shooter protocols,
right?
That have been adopted by law. Yeah, because you should have had that stuff.
Well, either way, I mean, little kids are getting freaking shot. I'm gonna freaking roll in there if I got to go on crutches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
This is just unimaginable. If you're a cop and your chief says no, don't go in, what are you going to say? Bite me, here's my badge, I'm going in. How did that not happen?
I don't know. I don't think you're ever going to know that. I mean, you'd have to sit down with these individuals and have a heart to heart, but who's going to do it? Geraldo?
Oh God.
But here's a kind of an interesting stat too. Now I'm saying this for one main reason. Every time something like this happens, the left goes crazy and they want to take your Second Amendment. If they have been saying what they really want, but if they really said it, they want to destroy the Bill of Rights, basically. Anyway, the number of people killed in mass shootings in the U.S. since Sandy Hook. So this is since 2014, or I'm sorry, 2012, just December 14th, at the 20 kids and 6 adults were killed. But the number of people killed in mass shootings since then, 442.
Well, that number, they include the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting as a mass shooting.
A mass shooting is described as 4 or more people injured or killed, excluding the suspect.
Right.
So this is Chicago alone is probably a good third of the stat, if not more. But that's So again, it's not everything's being described to fit a narrative. But if you really wanted to save the children, you wouldn't have armed guards guarding the Gucci store and the Tiffany store in the mall. But you don't have a freaking cop with a one-way entrance. Even a metal detector, for crying out loud. I was in school in the freaking 70s. We had metal detectors, So I don't know if they work, but we had them.
It's funny because I was driving through Philadelphia the other day, and there were armed guards outside the banks as I was driving by. Funny.
Yeah, well,
that,
because money's important.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Kids are more important.
Yeah.
But the point is, this is not about saving the children. It's about political power.
Correct.
All the Democrats care about is the will to power. That's it.
Correct. This tragedy, all that was a means for them to get back on the bandwagon to break down the Constitution and take
Yeah.
away our rights.
Oh, every single time this happens, the first thing they do is check, if they can, check the political affiliation of the shooter. Then they can decide whether they want to run the story 24/7 or can it. It's an awful thing when you have a political party that's in cahoots with most of the media, because then it's nothing more than the state media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come you notice that you don't hear anything more about the Kavanaugh situation over there,
No.
where the guy tried? That's been buried.
Yeah,
We don't need to hear about that.
I saw somebody went through the Sunday shows, ABC, CNN, NBC, blah blah blah, zero.
Yeah.
The only one that mentioned it was Fox.
Yeah, and you know what I'm going to say, and I don't know this for a fact, but I do know these people, so I'm going to say with some amount of certainty, they're not happy that he was stopped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's not because it's true, not because it's funny.
Yeah. No, I get
You
it.
know, they
really
want him.
Not really going out on a limb there, Jim.
Yeah. It's true. Well, you've accused me of going after low hanging fruit before, but I'm lazy when it comes to that stuff. And when you prune a tree, you start at the bottom, don't you?
But here's the thing: they not only want him dead, they want all of us dead.
Yeah.
If they could get away with it, through state means or whatever, in a minute they would do it.
Well,
or enslave us, one or the other.
You're taking the guns, you're taking the God, and if you overlay that formula, we talked about it earlier, you overlay that formula or extrapolate that formula from any despot country, and those are two key elements. Those are two key pillars of the formula. That's
yes.
People keep talking about the distinctions between socialism and communism. I mean, it's probably 100,000 people dead. That's the difference.
Right.
Other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, and all the other things are the same as well. Kill religion, take control of the education system, take control of healthcare, take control of the media. And the media at this point are just, like you said, they're straight up regime propaganda. The media, the awful things that they're doing to this country are just unconscionable. They should all be up on pikes.
Yep, it's despicable. It is despicable. And that being said, we can discuss the next topic of January 6th coming up. But for now, you guys want to wrap this one up?
Yeah, well, we got more January 6th coming up tomorrow, and then some other time during the week. Plus, we have SCOTUS going to release opinions tomorrow and Wednesday. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll be something spicy there to talk about.
Oh, yeah, that should be fun.
Definitely.
And
I have some sound bites and some stuff going ready for January 6th, including the edited version of Schumer's speech 2 years ago versus the actual speech of what he said. So we'll get into that as well.
Oh, that would be interesting.
If we run out of topics, we can talk about my favorite, artificial intelligence. Google just fired one of their engineers for releasing transcripts of a conversation that he had with their Lambda artificial intelligence, and he claimed that it was sentient now already. He said it was like talking to a 7 or 8 year old child.
Nice.
And I've seen the transcripts. It's pretty creepy, and I have a lot of arguments with people about this. about whether it's possible or not. And my comeback is always, it doesn't matter if they can make it so that you can't tell the difference whether it's sentient or not, and it has the appearance of sentience. That's all that counts.
And when you get tired of that, we can talk about real intelligence,
Yeah,
like
well,
myself.
there's questions whether that really exists. But
All right, guys.
All right, gentlemen.
all right.
Good night
So-
from New Jersey.
All right.
Later from Central Florida.
And from behind the Iron Curtain, Dos Vidania.